Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new Juju live session. This time around on the Art of Majancé, the mythical and misunderstood entrance on stage. In this Juju live session, with my coffee, double coffee, too much coffee today if you ask me, but I have to. I am going to answer some of the most frequent, interesting, and perhaps silly or not, questions about the theme of the Majance. What the hell is a Majance? How it is created, by whom, how should we dance it, why it is important, why it matters. Does every Oriental dancer have one or should have one Majance of her own? I mean, these are cool questions, and I'm going to answer them with all my usual love. Once again, I am going to invite you to join. Don't be shy. Drop a comment below this live session. Share your questions if you have them. Share your experience of Majancés. If you have your own Majancé composed for you, let me know. I have my own. I would love to know it, and I would love to hear it. And overall, let me know what you think and what you want to know around the subject, okay? So I'm gonna say hi to everyone who is joining us live. And I'm also going to say hi to the dancers who are gonna watch the replay of this session. Before I share the questions I have about the Majancé and before I answer those questions, I'm going to deliver the protocol. My name is Joana Saahirah. You have it where? Here? There? Yes, it's there. That's my name. For the ones who don't know me yet, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author. And I'm also the creator of the pioneering Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, which is delivering online, worldwide, authentic Egyptian dance, soulful, heart-filled Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. I want to do a congratulations and a thank you and a shout out to all of our students, our inside community. You are fabulous. We've been making history and sharing so much knowledge, so much inspiration inside our platform and school. I want to thank you and congratulate you for investing so much in yourself, in your dance, in your growth. And I will invite everyone who is not a part of our community, of our newsletter, to become a part of it, okay? So once we close this Juju live session, as usual, I am going to share the link for you to subscribe to our free and fabulous newsletter. And when you join us, you get access, exclusive access to content, offers, and gifts. I only share my people, okay? You also receive right off the gate free goodies and a free ebook on Egyptian dance. All good, all amazing. At the end of this session, I'm going to share the link. Now, without further ado, let us start with the questions that I brought, okay? Let us start reading those questions. So the first question, I don't even need to read it because it's an introduction, right? I'm going to be reading from my list, but it is, what the hell is a Majance? I know this sounds obvious, but a lot of dancers don't know what the Majance is. So let's start by the name Majance. Here's one thing that I learned in almost 10 years of work in Egypt with my own orchestra. There are a lot of musical terms Egyptian musicians use that come from either the English occupation or from the French occupation. As you must know, Egypt was colonized for centuries and centuries, okay? It became Egypt again after the pharaonic eras in 1952-54, when the revolution outthrown King Farouk and the English Empire and gave the rule of Egypt to an Egyptian for the first time in many, many centuries. So until then, Egypt had been occupied by several countries and several cultures. A lot of the names, the nomenclature that Egyptian musicians use nowadays are a result of those occupations. The word Majance does not have a direct translation, and I've heard different translations from different musicians, but there are two that make the most sense. Possibility number one, marche en scène, from which originated Majance, Okay, because Egyptians are creative with everything, and they will be creative with language. They will hear marche en scène, and then it suddenly becomes Majancé. It's easier and it sounds better. Or mise en scène. Marche en scène means literally entrance on stage. That's a French expression. Marche en scène, entrance on stage. Mise en scène is staging, preparing the stage, setting the stage. For me, it makes sense that we go for the translation of marche en scène because a Majancé is an entrance on stage. So what can we tell about a Majancé aside from the meaning of the word? A Majancé is the entrance on stage that every professional dancer usually has, in Egypt at least, to open her or his show. Traditionally speaking, and if the dancers can afford it, they will have a composer working for them and creating a Majancé for them. So it is 100% personalized. Now, I cannot talk for other dancers. I can only talk for myself. I know that once I was in Egypt and I was earning enough money to hire a composer and to hire musicians to record in a studio, blah, 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 I hired the best that I could find, Hossam Sheker. He has passed away not long ago. He was really brilliant. And he was the one coordinating the musicians to record it on studio. We also recorded an original Saidi for me, an original Beledi Awedi, a tabla solo, with my musicians and other musicians he hired. And he was the one who composed it for me. But in my case, it was 100% personalized. And I know that's what's supposed to happen. I don't know how verbal and proactive other dancers are. I know I was very verbal and proactive in the composition of my own Majancé, as I ought to do, okay? So if we do it right, the Majancé is a reflection of who you are. It's your presentation card. It's the theme that opens a show. So when your audience, if you have a regular audience, listens to your Majancé, they know it's you from the Majancé because that's your music. That's the music that is going to open your show. That is the music that is going to present yourself to your audience technically, in terms of your charisma, in terms of your feeling, how much you can do as a dancer, what you stand for as a person, your character, your energy. And it's also meant to engage your audience. This is the opening of a performance. So you always want to have an impact. You don't want an audience losing interest right off the gate. You want them engaged. You want them hooked. So a good Majance is a combination of a perfect personalized presentation card with a smart, engaging, dynamic piece that is going to catch and retain your audience attention. This is particularly important if you have a long performance ahead of you, which I did in Egypt. We were doing 45 to 1 hour sets. That's one show. And of course, that's a long time, right? Sometimes I would have dancers with me. Sometimes I would be by myself and with my orchestra. But either way, the dancers were not with me all the time. It was mostly me and my musicians for one entire hour. So you want to engage your audience and you want to catch them and keep them. A good Majance is a perfect way to do that. Now, the dancer has to be very strong, of course, because if you have a very good entrance on stage, musically speaking, but you cannot match it, you are not as good as your music, you are going to be eaten alive, you're going to be drowned, okay? So it is important to consider that you need to be very strong as a dancer, but you also need a musical piece, a Majance, which is very well built. So usually you will have a little intro with your name, and sometimes you will have a singer singing your name, announcing your name very clearly. Then the Majance, the official musical piece, starts. And it is supposed to be a mix, a cocktail of different things that you can do as a dancer. When I tell my students and when I tell dancers, you should educate yourself. You should know whatever, as much as you can in the realm of Oriental dance, in the realm of folklore, because the more educated you are, the more creative possibilities you have, and the more engaging you can become. Now, when I sat down to compose my Majance with Hossam Shekhar, the first question he made was, how many folkloric styles can you dance? And how many rhythms can you dance? And what is your favorite mecan? And what is your favorite instrument? He wanted to know my preferences, what I loved, what moved me, but he also wanted to know what I could do. And if I was not educated, if I had not been educated, my Majance would have been very different from what it ended up being, because if I don't know folklore, if I am not educated, if I don't know what to do with different rhythms, if I don't know what the hell is a mecan, if I don't know how to deal with different instruments and styles, my Majance has to be as limited as I am. So the music will suffer. So I sat with Osam, and for a few nights we just talked, and he came to my show to watch me perform. He came to watch me rehearse with my musicians, see how I communicate with them, how much I knew about music, what were my favorite kind of rhythms, my favorite styles, what were my strongest points. And only after he got to know me and my dance very well, he started creating the Majance. Okay, so this is how personalized it should be. Now, it's not always personalized, I believe, because it really depends on the dancer and how involved the dancer is in the music. Okay, for me, it was a big deal having my own music, you know. So I was totally hands on, I was very involved. But I am aware that a lot of Egyptian dancers, mostly, and even foreigners, they just hire a composer and they tell them to do whatever they can do. They don't have an input on the music. I think that if you have your own Majance composed, it should reflect who you are and you should have a say in it. But that's just me, you know. Maybe I'm a control freak. I don't know. maybe. Hi, Angela. Hi, Mohammed. Isayek. Hi, guys. Drop a comment in the comment section, okay? Say hi. I want to know how you are. Now, question number 2. What's the typical structure of a Majance? So we start usually, as I mentioned, with a little intro calling the dancer's name. That's very old school, but it's the usual, it's the traditional way. So you will listen to a singer or more singing your name in a little tune. After they announce your name in the music, it's the instrumental opening. Some dancers go into the show, into the performance with the instrumental, and some wait for the instrumental to be over. And then when the body of the music is presented, they go. I think it really depends on how you want to start your show. Sometimes it's nice to start on stage already. Sometimes it's better to start outside and you go into a specific part of the music. But I guess it's very much depending on how you feel it, okay? Usually when they're calling your name in the beginning, you are not on stage. You don't show up, okay? It's weird to be on stage doing your thing and someone singing your name. It's a little weird. So I don't think that you should go on stage dancing when that first intro with your name is being played. But from the moment the instrumental starts to boom, you are free to go and to do as much as you want and to choose the right moment to burst into the stage. One thing is for sure, you must always go with a splash. You know, sometimes I see dancers starting a Majance and they go on stage and they're supposed to be powerful and sunny and confident, and they're not. And sometimes, because the music is so powerful and so dynamic, the music makes them invisible. The music smashes them. It's not a good thing. So make sure that when you're doing a Majance, an entrance on stage, your level of confidence, your level of energy, your good vibes are here, okay? So that you can match the music. You can be on the same level and in the same dimension, synchronized, okay? It's super important. Now, after the intro with your name and the instrumental introduction, you will have different sets. Now, as I mentioned, Majancés are usually personalized. So it really depends how long do you want your Majancé to be, how much can you do, because if you can do a lot of different styles, your Majancé can be very long and it can have different sections. It can have a little bit of a ballet diawedi, it can have a little bit of zar, it can have a little bit of Saidi or Nubian or a little tabla solo or a taksim with ney. I mean, it's endless. The possibilities are endless as long as the dancer is ready to answer. So once again, you have to either ask a composer to create something for you that you can handle, or if you are not hiring someone to compose for you, choose a Majancé that you can handle, a Majancé that you can understand. You know what each section stands for. You identify and you know what to do with it, okay? Otherwise, the music eats you alive, okay? So first your intro with your name, then instrumental introduction. Then you have different sections with a wide variety of rhythms and mekamet and styles and moments and moods and emotions. And then you have the closing, which is usually connected to the instrumental intro. So you have a full circle moment. Usually you will hear repeated some of the first phrases that open the Majancé at the end in order to create this closed circle effect. And powerful. You open it powerfully with a bang and you close it powerfully as well. Okay, this is usually the structure of a Majancé. Once again, the more educated you are and the more able you are, the longer and richer your Majancé can be. So this is also why Majancés are presentation cards. They tell the audience who you are and how much you can do as a dancer. Okay, and the more you can do as a dancer, the more styles you know, the more knowledge you have, the better your entrance can be and the better your dance performance can be overall. Okay, and this is why education is so important. You know, it's not because it sounds good to say education is important. No, on a practical level, education is important. One of the reasons is it makes you a more powerful, dynamic, engaging performer. Okay, now another question. Does every professional Oriental dancer has her or his own Majancé? I think I already answered this, and the answer is no. Even in Cairo, where traditionally, if you have a show, no, I'm not. Let me put it this way: not every dancer in Cairo has a contract. Not every dancer in Cairo has their own orchestra. Those are luxuries. It is a very small market, very competitive, very corrupted. And in order to have your own orchestra, your own team, your own contract in a specific place, a respectable place where you have good conditions, good payment, good treatment, respect, protection, you need to be in some way exceptional or to date the right man. Either be exceptional or date the right man, okay? But most dancers don't have their own orchestra and they don't have a contract. They don't dance under contract and they don't have enough money to pay for their own composition, to pay for their own Majancé. But the ones who can afford it, they pay a composer to create their own Majancé. So I would say that although it is traditional for every professional Oriental dancer to have her own Majancé or his own Majancé, the reality is that most don't have. They don't have because there is no money for it. They don't have because they have no orchestra to play it, to record it, to use it. They don't have because the environment, the context where they're dancing is not requiring it. It's not worth it. Okay. So there is the traditional, there is the glamour, there is the exception, and then there is the rule. And the rule is most dancers will dance a Majancé by somebody else. They will not dance their own Majancé for the reasons I've already mentioned, okay? Now, what does Majancé mean? I've already answered that. How and when am I supposed to perform a Majancé? I've already answered the when. A Majance or entrance on stage is a musical piece that is usually performed at the opening of a show. I have seen it in the middle of a performance, okay, but that is not the original purpose for a Majance. Usually you use a Majance or entrance on stage piece to open your performance, okay, for the reasons I already mentioned. It's a very strong, dynamic, powerful, entertaining piece if it's well built. And there are a lot of good Majances, by the way. I've heard a lot, incredible musical pieces. And the traditional way is to open your show or your performance with it, okay? Now, how am I supposed to perform a Majance? Okay, so it really depends on what your Majance has, right? How should you perform a ballade? How should you perform folklore? How should you perform a classical piece? How should you perform? All of those different styles require different skills, different movements, different postures, different moments, different emotions. So the question of how depends on the music that you're dancing. But one thing is for sure, independently of the Majance that you're dancing, more dynamic, less dynamic, with more or less musical variety, you should always perform it with absolute confidence. It is a masculine, assertive, strong, solar expression of who you are. So playing it cool or playing small does not match with a Majance. And if you understand music and if you listen to the music and if you feel it, you can tell that Majances are made to make you shine as a dancer. They're not made to make you subtle or discreet or silent or small. They are made to make you explode in your dance, to make you bigger, to make you shine, to make you expand. The problem is that so often dancers don't have the confidence, they don't have that inner security to go for a Majance and really kill it. So as I mentioned, what usually happens is that the Majance is pulling them forward and upwards, and they're so afraid, so insecure, so out of tune with the music and with themselves. They are eaten alive by the music. So if I could tell you about one thing that makes a huge difference in the how should I dance a Majance, I would say that self-confidence is it. Okay, of course, self-confidence will not make you a good dancer if you are not a good dancer. Okay, self-confidence will not make you knowledgeable if you're not knowledgeable. Self-confidence does not change who you are or the dancer that you are, but it changes your attitude, it changes your physical and mental posture, it changes your mindset, it changes your energy, and those things play a very important role in your dance, especially if you're performing. Remember that when you're dancing, you're not only moving physically, you're moving energetically. And if you are dancing for an audience, they can read your energy. So, mindset, the way you're feeling in your skin, how confident or insecure you are, is going to reach your audience. People are going to feel that independently of the quality of your dance, independently of how knowledgeable you are, or even independently of how good is your Majance, musically speaking. Your self-confidence, the way you present yourself, the way you believe in yourself, is something that people can feel. And it has a real impact, okay? I have seen dancers who are not very good technically, but they have incredible self-confidence and they get away with it. They get away with it. And I have seen the opposite, dancers who are very good technically, they're very sharp, but they're not confident. So they shrink, they disappear into the background, which is a real shame. So independently of how knowledgeable you are, independently of how many styles you know or how rich is your Majance, remember, developing confidence in yourself, knowing that you're there doing your best, preparing yourself, knowing that you've done your homework and giving it your all, really giving it your all, putting all your passion, all your heart into it is very important. So in the how do you do the Majance, I would say self-confidence. self-confidence and knowledge, self-confidence and preparation, self-confidence and humbleness. Okay? Because you need humbleness in order to prepare yourself, in order to study, in order to polish, in order to research, in order to work. You need humbleness, you know? And the more you know, the more you see that you don't know. So the more you work, you know. Sometimes I tell this to my students because I find it so surprising in a way. I work more today in my dance than I worked 20 years ago when I started. How is that possible? I am much more knowledgeable. I have so much more experience. I've already have built a career on my back in Egypt, in work around the world. I've done pretty much everything I wanted to do in this field or very close to it. But I work in my dance nowadays more than I worked 20 years ago. Shouldn't I be resting or something or relaxing a little bit? But the question is that I don't. I feel the need to work more, to polish, to develop, to push harder now than I felt when I was ignorant, a beginner, just starting. So that tells you a lot about the craft of dance and the craft of performance. And when we work with Majancés, if they are good, if they are strong, if the composer who did the Majancé was good, is good, you are always going to be challenged. So prepare yourself, work, study, don't be lazy. I know this sounds very obvious, but it's not. Okay, especially if you feel like you are talented. Sometimes dancers feel if I'm talented, I'm good. I don't need to work. It's the opposite. The more talented you are, the more you need to honor that talent, the more you need to work. So it's not either I work a lot or I am very talented. No, the more talented you are, the more you have to work because talent is a potential. Talent is not a finished product. Talent is a potential. If I don't work to develop this potential, talent will end up reduced to nothing. Once again, I have met dancers who are not very talented, but they are hard workers. Very often they succeed much more than dancers who are very talented but are lazy or arrogant. They don't work. So do not underestimate the power of study, the power of practice, the power of work. Do not underestimate. Talent is potential. If you don't work with that potential, it will remain a potential. It will not shine. It will not turn up into something. Okay? So this is how you do a Majancé. Prepare yourself, get ready as much as possible, choose good music because the better the music, the better your dance can be, and develop confidence in yourself. Develop the reasons to feel confident in yourself. Why should I feel confident about myself? Maybe I've been working my ass off. I should be confident. Maybe I know I'm an interesting dancer. I'm an interesting person. I have a lot in my heart to share. I am creative. So if I am self-aware, if I know myself, I can be confident about myself. If I'm not self-aware, perhaps I don't even know why the hell am I supposed to feel confident. This is why when I teach dance, I cannot not teach self-empowerment. This is why you cannot study Egyptian dance and certainly not a good Majancé without developing yourself on a personal level. Okay? So these things are connected. They are connected. They are not separate things. The person in the dancer and the dancer in the person. Hi, Jamila. Hi, Jamila. Welcome. Hi, Alba. Hi, Paulita. Welcome, guys. Once again, drop your comment and question if you have one while we're here, okay? Now, last question that I have selected. What skills do I need as a dancer in order to master a Majancé? What skill? This is a big question, okay? This is a really big question. I am going to give you a few hints, okay? we are launching a new course, as we do at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, the Art of Majancé and Self-Confidence. If you're interested about this specific style and the incredible training you need to have in order to master it, please check the link with information that I'm going to share once we close this live session. Okay, you're going to have it in the comments below this video or in the description box below the video if you are watching the replay in my YouTube channel. Because in this course, we are going to work on a Majance together. We are going to work on the development of self-confidence. And I am going to answer these questions in a practical way. I mean, you're going to do the solutions with me, okay? But for now, I'm going to give you a few hints. So what skills do I need as a dancer in order to master a Majance? As I've already mentioned, there are two dimensions to your dance training. One is the technical dimension and the musical dimension, okay? So for instance, in my Majance, I needed to know the rhythms the composer has. I needed to know the styles he chose. I needed to know how to respond to different mekamet, to those different rhythms, to those different styles. And this is what you will find in most Majances. You will find a wide variety of elements that require knowledge. So if I'm listening to a Majance, let's suppose there is a little bit of Zar. I don't know what Zar is, or I don't know how to dance Zar. How am I going to do that? If I don't have the knowledge, that part of the Majance, it's either going to be ignored. I'm going to ignore it and play that and do whatever, turn and shimmy, like most dancers do. When they don't know what to do, they turn and they shimmy. I don't know what to do. I'm going to shimmy or I'm going to turn, you know, or I'm going to screw up. Pardon my French. I'm going to do something that has nothing to do with Zar. Let's imagine that in my Majance, there is a little bit of baladi, but I know nothing about baladi. How am I going to do that? And it doesn't matter how talented I am, guys, because talent is one thing, knowledge is another. You can be very talented, but knowledge is something apart. Your talent, if you have it, will not give you knowledge. The same way knowledge does not give you talent. Okay, those are different things. All right? So first, I need to educate myself. I go back to this point because Majances are such a challenge. They present you all this variety of styles and rhythms and mekamets and sounds and instruments and modes. You know, it's all over the place. In 1 second, you're doing Saidi. The other second, you're doing a Taksim with the Kanun or a Oud or whatever, you know. So it's very dynamic, very challenging, full of contrasts, full of different moments. So you need the education to respond to those different elements. That's the first thing. That's the first skill you need, education. Okay, it is that simple. And the more educated you are, the more creative you can be. Okay, education is also creativity, because when I know a language, I can break the rules of that language. Okay, I can expand that language. If I don't know the language, I'm going to be creatively handicapped. I'm going to be creatively limited. All right. So education is the first skill. Then you need versatility, adaptability, and fluidity. Because a Majance changes constantly. That's part of the reason why it's so engaging. So the composers created like a little movie, almost like a thriller, you know, because they want to catch your attention and catch the attention of your audience. So this means you will be jumping from one thing to the other very quickly, constantly. Now I'm here in a baladi, then I'm going to classical phrase, then I go to tableau solo, then there is a little bit of folklore, then there is Khaliji, then there is some, it's all over the place. It's like a roller coaster. If you don't flow, if you are afraid of changing and shifting and being like water, this is going to be torture. You know, it's torture. So a lot of flexibility, adaptability, ability to change very quickly and easily. It's another skill that you need to develop. You need to surrender to the music and follow the references that are coming to your ear, and obviously have the education that will allow you to answer efficiently, right? Another skill you need, as I've already mentioned, is self-awareness and self-confidence. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is knowing yourself, knowing your weak points, knowing your strong points, knowing what works in your favor, knowing what works in your disfavor. Does that word exist? Well, the opposite of favor. Knowing what works for you in terms of communication with the music, communication with your audience, if you have an audience. Self-awareness is really knowing yourself very well, your light and your shadow, the things that make you strong, the things that make you weaker, and how to work with all of it, right? Self-confidence, as I've already mentioned, comes from that self-awareness, because I am not confident about a person that I ignore. I have to know myself in order to feel confident about myself. Okay. And I have to be the kind of person that I'm proud of. So we're also talking about developing myself, evolving, working on my weaker points, working on my insecurities, working on my childishness, working on my darkness, my shadow. All of it makes me a better dancer and makes me able to shine in a Majance which was composed to make me shine. So I honor this music, which is there to make me shine, by getting to know myself, evolving as a person, and actually loving that person. You know what? This dancer doing this Majance is pretty damn amazing, if I may say so. How do I know it? Because I know her. I know that person. That person is me. I know myself. So I am confident about what I bring to the table. This is not arrogance, okay? Very often when I teach about Majance and when I work about self-confidence, dancers are very afraid. They're put off. I don't want to be arrogant. I don't want to be cocky. I don't want to blah, 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 blah. Okay, so let's stop there, right? A Majance or self-confidence is not about arrogance, because arrogance is competition. It's what most dancers do anyway. They're not self-confident, but they're not self-confident, but they're very competitive. Actually, when you are self-confident, you are not competitive, because you know nobody can compete with you, and you cannot compete with no one, because nobody is you and you are nobody else, period. It's a very clear statement. You have your own path, you do your own thing, you inspire others, you support others if you can. That's it. You don't compare yourself to others. That's arrogance. Self-confidence is the knowledge that I am unique, so is everybody else. I'm not competing. Let them compete with me if they like. It's fine. I've been doing this all my life. I allow people to compete with me, and they do. And sometimes I have fun with it, observing from the outside, but I don't play the game. I never say yes to that game. Let them compete with me. I will not compete with them. I have better things to do with my life. Investing in myself, investing in my dance, investing in my work, investing in my private life, investing in my development as a person, as an artist, as an author. Life is short. I'm not going to waste my time competing, hurting other dancers, speaking badly of other dancers. It's not a good use of my time. So do not confuse self-confidence with arrogance. Arrogance is presuming you are better than, you are more than. Arrogance is competition. You are comparing yourself to others. You want to be better than them. You want to beat them at their game. That's arrogance. Self-confidence is the awareness of your uniqueness. And if you are aware of your uniqueness, you are aware of the uniqueness of others. I respect myself as I respect every other person. I know that I am unique, just as I know everybody else is unique. So I am no better or worse than anybody else. I am a person like everybody, with flaws, with qualities, and with the fingerprint that nobody else has. This is self-confidence. Okay, so this is another skill. There are so many more, guys, but once again, we will not have time to develop them in this short Juju live session. If you want to know more about the art of Majancé, how to dance a Majancé, how to develop different styles, and how to develop your self-confidence, not only for Majancés, for everything. Because self-confidence is essential for everything, okay? Join me for our new online course, The Art of Majancé and Self-Confidence, happening this August at Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School. So I'm gonna do what I promised. I'm gonna share the link for more information in the comments or in the description box below the video. Notice there is an early bird price ending in 1 or 2 days. So you got to catch it before it goes away. Then the price goes up. It will never go down again. So catch it before it's gone. Okay. Let me see if you have questions here in the comments so that I don't leave them unanswered. And Alá Paulinha. Jamila says, I was wondering, since you will be doing various styles in your Majancé, yes, we will, how would one costume themselves? Is a bedla expected or is it your choice? Okay, this is a very good question, guys. This is a very good question. Now, because a Majancé is traditionally a mix of different styles, in my opinion, in my experience, you should not use something that is specifically connected to one of those styles, okay? So usually you will wear a bedla, a two-piece bedla, or one dress that has the style of a bedla, okay? An oriental dress, something a little bit more neutral, not something that is particularly attached to a style, okay? Because you're going to be changing that style to another style and to another style constantly. So we want a bedla, an oriental dress, that is as neutral as possible, but also something that makes a splash. Remember that the Majancé is the opening of your dance. Okay, it's suited, it's composed, it's created for the opening of a dance performance. So what do you want? You want to make a splash, you want to make an impression, you want to show up as your best. And that also includes how you look. Now, I am the worst person to advise you on clothing because that was never a subject that I felt interested in. I went as far as buying bedlas for my work without seeing them in advance. I would just tell my designer, do something for me. I need dresses, because I was performing, every night, nonstop, year after year. So I needed a lot of dresses. Dresses get dirty and they get ruined very easily when you are sweating on them with makeup and carrying them in your bag day in and day out. So I would tell my designer at the time, that was Aziz, my dear friend Aziz, do something for me. He would ask me, Abint, what do you want me to do for you? You have to come to the studio. I say, I don't have time to go to the studio. I trust you. Create something for me. You already know my measurements. You know my body. You know me very well. He was like a father to me. So he knew me very well. And he would create a bedla for me. I would just go there and buy it or send my assistant to grab it from him. And that's it. I would wear it without seeing it. So the dressing was never my forte. I never focused on it. And people sometimes comment on it, and I find it very funny and accurate. I'm not good with bedlas and clothing because it was never my focus point. I always worried about bedla or clothing that allowed me to move efficiently, that did not hide my movement, that was comfortable. How it looks was never my focus, because I believe that a strong dancer can make a great show wearing anything. And the weak dancer may be wearing the most beautiful bedla in the world. The bedla will not make you a better dancer. It will just entertain the eyes of your audience for a few seconds, and then you are back to invisibility. So a Majancé, as the opener of a dance performance, is supposed to ask you for an oriental bedla as neutral as possible. Something that allows you to go through those different styles without attaching yourself to one of those specific styles. Okay. At the same time, something beautiful, that makes an impact, that makes you look good and feel good, and something that allows you to dance effortlessly, comfortably, without pain. Sometimes I had beautiful bedlas who were very painful, very painful. At some point, I had wounds on my neck because of the bras. They were so tight and they pulled the breast so much up. I had wounds. I had blood in my neck from wearing the bedlas. And of course, with the friction and the sweat day after day, I had wounds. So this is not the kind of clothing you want. You want to feel comfortable. You want to feel free. You want to feel like this clothing, whatever it looks like, allows you to do your job. And the job of the dancer is to dance the best that she or he can. I hope I answered that question. Once again, I'm going to invite you to join our new course. It's going to be available for a very, very short time, guys. So this is not a course that will always have available at our school. This is a seasonal course. It's going to be presented in 3 sessions, okay, divided in 3 weeks. You are going to learn an entire Majance with me, filled with different moments, very exciting, challenging, but beautiful. And you're also going to develop the skill of confidence along the way. It's going to be a really great boost that you'll be able to use for your dance and for your life. For more information, you already know, follow the link that I am going to share either in the comments to this video or in the description box below this video. Last but not least, join our newsletter if you are not a part of it yet, our free and fabulous Joana Saahirah's World newsletter. And when you do, you get access to our exclusive news and gifts and offers and inspirations I only share with my people. And they know, the ones who are with me, they know I love to overgive. I love it. So if you are not ready to be showered with inspirations and challenges and beautiful content, don't join us, okay? Don't join us. This is abundance all the way. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your presence, for dropping by, for saying hi. I always like to connect live. It's a very different feeling than the recorded format. Thank you, Jamila, for your question. Thank you, Paulinha. Beijoca, beijinho. And a big hug to everyone who is gonna watch the replay of this Juju live session. If you have questions that I haven't answered, or if you have doubts around our new course, drop them in the comments and I promise to answer everything and everyone, okay? A big kiss. Love you. See you and dance with you soon. Mwah.